So in this video I'm going to be fitting some Shad SH35 side panniers to this Honda NC750X 2021 model. I've had a couple of bits fitted to it so far. You've got the B1M Blue Sky Sea cameras on the front and the rear. There's the front one over there. A Puig, I can never pronounce the word, screen, which works really well at extra wind protection. Still feels a little bit like a naked bike, to be honest, even with it, but it does make a lot of difference. And the last thing, it's got some Daytona heated grips as well, which are really quite nice. You can't really see them without turning them on though, but they are nice. I suppose the big question is, why Shad? So the nicest looking panniers to actually fit to the bike are the Honda ones, but if you're going to fit the Honda panniers, A, they're about £1,000, and B, you have to have the rack for the top case. So basically you get your slat at the back there that the top case would fit on, which I kind of think would ruin the bike. It adds extra bulk to the back, and we don't want it to have a top box on it, so kind of having just panniers on the front, on the sides, is going to make it look a bit more kind of compact and a bit nicer. The other option would be Givy. This is my Africa Twin, and basically this is the mounting point, same mounting point you get for this, and it looks fine on something like the Africa Twin, which is quite a kind of rugged bike when you've got no panniers on it, but on something like the NC it would look a bit rubbish. Whereas you'll see later the Shad fixing is much neater. The other reason for me doing this video is I fitted probably about 5 or 6 pannier sets now to different bikes. I fitted one Shad, which was relatively easy to fit, except it was on a SV650 Suzuki, and the pannier was really easy to fit, but the it required you to move the indicators, which was a bit pants. On this it shouldn't do that. The Givy ones I fitted though have, to be quite honest, been a bit of a pain, and so when I put my bars on my Honda, my crash bars, I did a video on that, and I thought, well, I may as well do one on this. So the cost of the set, there's the SH35, or one of the two of them, and the fixing kit. The cost of the set was £421 roughly, which isn't too bad. It's a shop called Bike Luggage, online shop. They had them all in stock. They delivered them within about 2 days, so that was pretty good. And you can see already just from opening up the box how few bits there are for actually mounting the panniers. These bars here, which are all nicely wrapped, they just it mounts on top of them. If I swing the pannier around, you can see there's a clip at the front and then one at the top, nothing at the bottom, so a lot neater. Okay, so first things first is to remove the pillion seat. It's pretty easy. You've got 3 bolts underneath there, and then a split pin which holds in the steady, basically. It shouldn't take me long. So that's the seat off. The bolts are, or the nuts are a 10mm, so pretty standard, easy to find. You can see my camera in there as well at the same time. Next thing is to take off the handrails, both sides. So here we go. So there are the bolts out of one side. It's a 6mm Allen key type fitment, and when it comes off, it's kind of stuck behind the casing there. It's easy if you put this hinge down, but you can just lift it forward and out like that, and out it comes. So there's the right hand side one out, exactly the same methodology. The only other thing is that the stay for the rear seat does get in the way a little bit. It's a little bit more tricky to get out, but it's not difficult. So I've just put the appropriate fixing bar to this side on. It uses the existing bolts to bolt it back down. Fits really nicely. I don't really see why they tell you to take the handle off. You could just take the screws out and then slide the bar in, and then put it all back together. You know, you're going to have to pretty much do that anyway, but really easy to fit. As I say, existing bolts, and I've just got to put the caps back on there and then fit the other side in. So next thing is to fit the actual holding bar for the, or mounting bar for the panniers. This is the bar, it's going to bolt onto the two, this is on the left hand side, it's going to bolt onto the two holes there, and then down here it's going to fix on to the mounting for the pillion pegs. Okay, so I've come across my first problem. When you fit this bolt here, this front bolt of the two is really tight in behind there. Trying to get your nut up behind there, especially with these tightened up, is near impossible. So I've loosened off these two bolts to give me a bit of sort of flex room, which will get me to get in there. But then you've got the problem, you've got to hold it all out while still trying to get your nut up there and use another hand to turn the bolt in place to get it on. So, and I've dropped the nut, I can't tell you how many times on the floor. So what I've done is, on my 13mm spanner, I've put a bit of masking tape, insulation tape on the back, and made it so that it's slotted in there, and I reckon that locking nut should hold in place in that spanner while I get it in place and have a hand free to then tighten the nut onto it. So here we go. So I've got the bolt in place. It wasn't as easy as I was thinking. In order to get enough room, I could get, with loosening the bolts holding on the handrail, I could get enough room to get the spanner in, because it's a socket circular spanner. Basically, I couldn't then get it off because it was too tight. So I had to completely remove this bolt here, which gave quite a lot of flexibility to get the bolt on. Worked fine. Now I can put that bolt back in. Should be absolutely brilliant. I'm only going to leave them hand tight to start off with while I still put the bottom fixing in. Okay, so that's that one fitted on there. Only two complaints of this. The bolt I was having trouble with at the front here, I don't know if you can see, but it is actually touching the moulding of the bike there, and it's not like damaging, well, okay, it's not moving it particularly, but it is going to scratch and damage that. So if you ever take things off, there will be a slight bit of damage to the bodywork of the bike, and I'd imagine the same is going to be the case on the other side. The only other gripe I'd have is that this bolt here, the bolt you replace the foot peg mounting with, it's a bit on the long side on the back there. That's really petty, I know, but it's a 60mm bolt. I tried a 50mm bolt in it, and it was just a little bit short for the locking nut to fix onto it with. But having said that, like a 55mm would have worked, and it's probably that, you know, generally you get 60mm or 50mm, so it's a cost-saving exercise. But it's just a little bit of a bolt sticking out that I rather didn't stick out. Apart from that, relatively easy to put on. I think it would do a lot better if the instruction told you to mount this before you mount this onto the fixing before you put the grab handle back on. So I'm about to start the other side, and before I do that, I will actually loosen both these ones right the way off to give myself a lot more flexibility on movement as I'm putting it on. And I'll probably put that difficult front nut on first. When I did the other side, I put the back nut on first, but I think logically it will work better to do the front nut first, and then the fixing actually comes down and fixes onto where the exhaust mounts, which is a bit neater than the foot peg, but then you haven't got the exhaust on the other side, so you don't have that option. Okay, so by doing the front one first, I can actually slide the whole of the thing out, because I've got this screw here, this bolt here really completely out, and you can just do it with your fingers. It's an awful lot easier. So my tip is, leave the top bolt loose, loosen and remove the bottom bolt, and then you can slide this one in and out to get your first fixing in. So there's the other side on. The exhaust mounting bolt was 12mm, both the bolt and the nut on the sides. Came out really easily because of that trick about how you actually do the mounting up the top. Actually mounting the whole lot was really easy by comparison to the other side, just because I'd done it once already and so I knew how to do it. But there you go, that's the second one on. Just got to put the seat back on now. So there you go, seat back on, pannier holders in place, and I mean, I think They're not perfect, I mean, because, you know, obviously it is a bolt-on accessory, but it really does do quite a good job of being quite invisible, or relatively invisible. And if you compare, you know, you compare that to the fitting that's on my Africa Twin, and it is so much simpler and nicer looking. The interesting thing as well is if you do want the top box as well, I know the top box basically runs, and the mounting comes off two bars that come, or one bar that comes in here and goes out and does the back plate for the top box, and the same on the other side. I'll put a picture of the one I did on the SV up. It was really easy to fit. The additional bit was the disadvantage, I say, was that I really didn't like the actual top box rack itself, but I'll pick some pictures up at the end of this so you can see that as well. For the NC, of course, the NC's got its sort of boot at the front there, and so why you'd need a top box as well, well, it depends how much you need. At my old NC I had a top box too, but it depends what you want. Okay, so here we are with the panniers on the bike. They've got the aluminium case, like cover bit on it, flap, I don't know what you call it. Anyway, they do look, this is a side view, they do look really nice on there. Only thing I've got a slight kind of like disappointed about is if you start to come around here to the front of the bike and look, I don't know if I can really show you, but basically they kind of stick out at the front and then taper in at the back. And it's because this bar here, they've put it on in a straight line with the grab handle. I reckon they could have kind of like tapered it, you know, tapered it in more that way to give the bike a little bit more of a streamlined look. But that kind of is me being very picky. I do think they look pretty good on there. You know, they're panniers after all, they're going to be a bit bulky, aren't they? And at the back, I think the rear view, I'm not going to show you my number plate, but the rear view looks really nice as well. So I'm quite pleased as a general. You can see the indicators don't have to be relocated or anything like that. It all looks pretty good. Yeah. And the other thing I'd show you is how they come on and off. They're actually sort of really nice in the way that they come on and off. In that, so once they're unlocked, you press the button once, handle comes up. So try again. Press the button once, handle comes up. Lift it up like that to carry it, but basically you pull the handle a little bit further, and there's a clip underneath here, underneath there, that comes off, and at that point you can then lift the pannier off. So really simple to take off and to put on again. Basically, sorry, we've only got one hand for this. Wake it on, over it goes. Little clip there goes in. Push it down a little bit, and then as you push the handle down, locks the whole thing in place. So that's it, locked in place, and obviously you've got the key to lock it all up. Yeah, that's quite good. I'll just show you the inside when I get the key out. Okay, and so to get into the pannier itself, when it's on the bike, press the button, the handle goes up. You can, doesn't matter whether it's all the way up or not. Underneath the handle you've got this other flap here, just lift that, case opens. It's quite nicely designed though, in there, in that you've got this lip sticking out so that you can put stuff in there. It's meant to hold a full face helmet either side quite nicely, but yeah, it's nicely done. There are internal lining bags you can get for inside there. They're about 20 quid a pop, which I don't think is too bad. I'll probably invest in a pair of them. And that's it though. I mean, all in, as a kind of overview on sort of ease of fitment, one of the easiest panniers I've put on. Looks wise, I think it really suits the bike. I mean, not 100% perfect. I think that the Honda ones would have looked slightly better if it wasn't for the fact they're stuck on that extra bit, but really goes so well with the bike. Terribly pleased with those. Thank you for watching. Bye.